So just coming up the stairs here, this is what I laughingly call the sewing room. This is the old back bedroom. We have just replaced the doors actually. We're busy renovating and decorating at the moment. So here's the back bedroom. And then in we go to the room that I laughingly call my sewing room. So, the first thing you will notice in this sewing room is that quite a large chunk of room is taken up by this Grace quilt frame with my Janome, and that's just come back actually from the repair shop. It's had a good service, and just as well, there's quite a bit wrong with it, and we have to affix it back to the carriage over here, and that's a bit of a lengthy job to get it up and running, so that will be a video for another day. As you will see, this is also the largest cat hammock in the world, and here is Belladonna, who every chance she gets makes a bed on it. I thought by tidying everything up today and putting these bits on it, that would stop her, but no. She found the very end piece there to curl up on. And luckily, this is just a test piece. If I can bring you in closer over here, you can see my attempt at all kinds of squiggly wiggly goings on there. Practicing all manner of things. There's a long way to go before I'm proficient in it. And then the next thing you probably need to see on the back wall there is that's my quilt wall. And as you can see half of my Lapassacalia quilt. You will see I've come a long way since last time you saw it. I've joined top to bottom and started adding lots of outer rosettes. You can't see the bottom unless I come down. Oh, look at that under the quilt table. There you go. You can see more of it there. I'm going to spread it all out on the bed soon, and that will be another video where we'll get into that. So this lovely quilt wall my husband Steve built, it's a wooden frame with Celotex, which we got from the builders merchants, and you can pin into it. We've covered it with, if you can see here, a sort of brushed cotton, we call it Winciere brushed cotton sheet. And if it was just fabric, that would stick to there. But this isn't just fabric because it's English paper piecing. So you've got all the templates at the back of all the pieces of fabric here. That doesn't quite adhere to the backing. So I have to just pin. Over in the corner here, oh, that's my shamanic drum that I made. And this little picture in here, this is something I think Steve's sister painted, because this used to be, well, it used to be one of their bedrooms years ago. This is Steve's mum's house that we live in, the family home. So we haven't really done this room up as such. We put a slap of paint on it and just left this little drawing in the corner. It's so sweet. So in terms of having a table out to do a lot of sewing, this is where we were going to go with this room, but as soon as I got this quilt frame, and it, oh gosh, it was such a bargain. You wouldn't believe the price I got it for. It was just silly not to. But it, as wonderful as it is, and as big a learning curve as it is, it does hamper what one can do in the room. I cleared a load of rubbish out here today. Over here, I have, this is Doris. Doris is my dress form, and she's kind of basically my shape. And we made her out of me wearing an old t-shirt and some padding and lots of gaffer tape, and then getting it to look like my figure and covering it with this sort of velvet, nice bit of crushed velvet. Serves its purpose for now. I've got this apron, I've got to adjust the straps, that's why that's hanging on there. And this beautiful knitted shawl we'll talk about more in another video. Do you remember my video I did a couple of months back on finding boxes of scraps of yarn and ideas about what I would do to use some of it up? Well, this is what I made to use some of it up. And I'm going to do a video on it, and I've got a few ends to sew in on it, and then it will be sent off to its recipient. Oh look, it's Mr. Stay Puft the Marshmallow Man. He's an original toy from the 80s. And just some odd knitting needles and things I have to find a home for. This cupboard here is what we call the airing cupboard. You know, we've got linen, sheets and towels after they've been laundered, put in there to air off. Then we have one of these very handy IKEA trolleys, which needs a jolly good clear out. My steam generator iron, some old black fabric that I need for a project. This table, this is the table that can come out, so you know it can come out and make a nice bigger table. But again, once you pull that out, get plugged in, get a chair in there, you can't really move because of the quilt frame. This fabric here, these are going to be cushion covers. They've been cut out and overlocked, and that's the next project to go because I really need to do it. My poor old cushion covers downstairs have split and they look awful. Behind this table are my other machines and overlockers. We only moved this table round today. I think you can see them all down there in their covers and things, because damn, I needed to clean this room and sort things out. And then on the shelves, all manner of books on crafts that I have collected over the years. Some sewing patterns. I've been collecting these wonderful magazines from America, Quiltfolk. They are amazing. If you've not heard of Quiltfolk and you love gorgeous pictures and content, do look up Quiltfolk. I'll put a link in the description. Then a lot of sewing books, all the Gertie books that I love, embroidery threads in folders, instruction manuals, knitting, vintage knitting books. What else do we have? Oh, on the top shelf, well, not the top shelf, but I've got magazines with patterns in that I wanted to keep, quilting and knitting and so forth. All of these are a lot more dressmaking patterns that I've had printed at the printers, big AO size prints. At the top, my little gallery, my little groovy gang looking down upon me. Grogu, an original Ludo from Labyrinth, the Dark Lord as I call him, Clifford, the dragon, and I think it's Kevin, the minion. Moving over here now, this is my fabric stash. So what we've got here, assorted dressmaking fabrics. These are all kind of wool, not pure wool, but wool mixed fabrics. Got a lot of jersey knits and scubas, Liverpool fabrics, crepes, more jersey, all sorts. Beautiful quilting cottons and other funky things going on here. Oh look, there's my dragonfly. Isn't he lovely? So a whole range of fabrics waiting to be cut up and made into something lovely. Dresses, tops, trousers. I've even got some wool. This is a wool mix, but It was an expensive wall mix, but it didn't cost me that much because I got it in a sale, and I'm going to make a coat with that. So we've just bundled that up and stuffed that in there. Old sheet ready for cutting up for toiles or muslins. On the top here, in all these boxes, assorted projects, quilting projects, old photos and books and things. But a lot of these things are quilting projects, all boxed up, half done. Really got to finish them. Scrap fabrics that I might make use of. Handbags. Up here, a couple of really lovely old wool blankets that I'm thinking of making some jackets out of. Again, we've got one box full of Tula Pink fat quarters, other quilting projects ready to be done, other bits of old sheet cut up for experiments and toiles. Stuck in the corner here is my Liberty Hexie quilt. I've really got to work on getting all the papers out, finishing off the edges and getting that to the long armour. It's too big to go on my quilt frame, and I'm not adept enough to do the design on there that I want to, even if the quilt frame was big enough. Funky Garfield bag. Up in the cupboard there, quilt waddings, various other things. Overspill of some clothes. Quilts that are done that are, I don't know if we can see in here, in amongst it all. Yes, we've got some sewn quilt tops in there ready to go on the frame. More craft stuff. What can I tell you? Oh, and this lovely old walking stick that belonged to my late father with all the badges that he collected when we were on holiday in the Lake District. He never walked half of these fells. He just said he did and bought the badges, but he was a funny one. So that's pretty much the sewing room. As you can see, you know, it looks reasonable. If I'm standing in the corner here, yes, I can put this table out and put a chair there. I could do that. But what I need to be concentrating on at the moment, oh look, you can see the quilt on the quilt wall there, nearly all of it, and how big it's getting. I'm not going to set up the quilt machine yet, because if I want to get to the quilt wall, I have to keep pulling the table, the quilt frame. You know, I have to keep coming forward for me to manipulate things on the quilt wall. And I'm thinking what I need to do is get on with finishing all the pieces of that quilt. And then once I've done that, then I think I might set the quilt frame up. We're certainly going to get the repaired sewing machine back on there and switch it all on and make sure it works. But as I say, we'll do that in another video. So there you are. That is what we laughingly call my sewing room, where actually very little sewing goes on. It's more like a giant storage room of craftiness and sewing things, but it will soon serve a purpose. So I think that's about it here. We'll finish off with Belladonna on the quilt frame. Now, if I had a really nice quilt on here, it would be covered in a big cloth or something to stop her from sleeping on there. In fact, what I would probably do is ban the cats from the room once I've got a decent quilt on there and not a practice piece. I don't quilt for anybody else except myself, so, you know, worrying about people going, oh, but there's cat fur on it, cat hair, or you can't do that if you're sending out quilts to people. I don't do that. I don't send quilts out to people. So for me, you know, my house, my choice, my things. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed this little tour of my room. It's I'm privileged to have a space to put things in. Many people don't. So, you know, although I can't get as much as I'd like done in here and it needs constant tidying and reorganising, it's not too bad, is it? Do any of you have a dedicated sewing space? If you do, perhaps you'd like to tell me about it in the comments below. So until the next time, goodbye.